Hi y'all, it's Andrea, and I actually wanted to make this video to share my story about how I healed my scoliosis. And basically, since I was a little girl, I had um, back pain. And I thought that it was, at the time, I thought it was, growth spurts. My mom would tell me, oh, you're just growing. But the pains just continued on and on and on and on. And I found out I had scoliosis like somewhere in my teens, I think, which then I was like, oh, well, it makes sense why I was like having back pain all this time because my back was basically growing crooked. And so I dealt with back pain. I'm 26. I'll be turning 27 this year. So basically, I dealt with back pain all up until this year, 2023. And as I started getting into after I had my spiritual awakening and I started basically educating myself on many different topics, I started to get the feeling that my scoliosis was due to my childhood, as I had a very turbulent childhood, had a lot of heavily emotionally charged events, aka traumatic events. And so for many years, for the last few years, I just had this gut feeling that my scoliosis was somehow attached to my childhood. Well, this year I did a form of therapy, and through that therapy, and okay, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with scoliosis. Scoliosis is basically your spine is crooked. There's different shapes. Some shapes are more like a C, other shapes are more like an S. Mine was more like an S. And doctors will literally tell patients, the majority of patients are female, girls. There is males with it, but it's more prominent in girls. And they tend to be, it tends to be discovered in the teen years. And doctors will say, we can't help you. There's nothing we can do about it. Only in extremely, extremely severe cases will they go in and do spine surgery, which is basically they open you up from top to bottom and they basically force the spine along with like metal bars to like straighten out the spine, which that's like, in my opinion, the worst thing you could do. But I understand that there's very severe cases where that's just all they know. And so that's what they do. They open up their spine and they basically force the spine to straighten out using metal bars. In like really, really bad cases where like the person is like basically like crooked, like they can't stand straight. So not judging them, but in my opinion, that is like terrible. But they're doing all they know, right? Doctors or surgeons. So um so basically I had like so much tightness and pain in my back. I'm talking about like extreme tightness. Like basically the only way I maintained my scoliosis was through stretching and just being active, being like moving, because like if I didn't move, if I like wasn't active, like it just made my muscles even tighter in my back and it was just so painful. Like even just like bending down, my like back would hurt. Like I literally felt like an 80-year-old or something, like when I would like bend over to pick up things because it was so painful. It was tight and painful and just so uncomfortable. It affected my sleep because sometimes I was in so much pain in my back, like I couldn't sleep. So basically I was in a lot of pain. And so then this year I decided to do a therapy session on my back. And holy heck, when I tell you what the heck you uncover. And the therapy that I've done and the therapy that I myself practice is not your mainstream therapy. And I don't want to shit on any psychotherapist or psychologist or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to shit on that career. They're doing what they know, they're doing what they're taught. So that's that. And but this is not your basic mainstream therapy. It's really much off the beaten path. And you'll find that a lot of things that are off the beaten path are golden nuggets that are truth, that are powerful, that are effective, and that help. So I did this therapy session on my back. Come to find out that because my childhood was so, I don't know, turbulent, there was a lot of suffering as a child, as I didn't understand why I was going through these things or why my family was going through these things. Basically, what I uncovered was this belief, and there's a lot of digging I had to do. This is not just something that came up right away, but I had to do some digging, obviously, into my subconscious mind, that I created a belief, which I should make another video about beliefs and how freaking important and impactful they are to our bodies and to our lives. But basically, as a child, I created a belief that humans, and this is the belief, quote, humans are born to suffer, or humans have to suffer. I created this belief as a child because that's all I saw growing up. More so in my younger years. So I created this belief very, very early on in my younger years that humans are born to suffer and that humans have to suffer. And so, let me explain that. I believed that humans have to suffer or that humans are born to suffer. So what I did unconsciously, this is how powerful your subconscious mind is. Basically what happened is my subconscious was holding on to my childhood, everything in my childhood in a little sphere. This is metaphorically speaking, okay? So I'm just explaining in imagery and symbols so that you get the images in your mind. But basically, subconsciously, which means I was unconscious of it, I was holding on to my childhood in a sphere in my back because I believed that humans were born to suffer or that humans have to suffer. So guess what? I was literally, I like to use this word all the time, but I was literally physically suffering because I believed that humans have to suffer. So if I believed humans have to suffer, what do you think my body's going to do? What do you think my mind is going to attract? It's going to create pain in my body because I believed humans have to suffer. So if humans have to suffer, my body was just responding to what my mind believed. But I would have never found that out had I never done therapy, had I never decided to dig deep in the trenches of my mind. I would have never discovered that. And I kid you not, in the session itself, my back released. There was no more pain in my back. Prior to the session, I was holding it in my right side of my spine, which is where it was the tightest. I wasn't able to even reach over to the side, do a stretch. I don't know what they're called, but basically I couldn't even stretch sideways because my muscles were so tight. They would pull and it was just so painful. And stretching and holding a stretch did not release the tightness. Why didn't it release the tightness? Because my subconscious was literally holding the memories of my childhood in my back that were very painful. So it was literally causing physical pain in my body. After the session, I was able to literally stretch all the way. I was even able to touch the floor without any pain. So when I say that your beliefs are everything, they literally are everything. When I say that the pain does not start in your body, it starts in the mind, it really starts in the mind. And unless you are willing to go on an adventure of exploring your mind, you're going to find it very hard to uncover the root cause of your ailment, of your problem. So that's how powerful the mind is. And for the following days and weeks after that session, I was in so much disbelief. It was so strange to me to not be in pain anymore. Like, I would almost like check sometimes just to see if it like didn't hurt. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no pain. Like, I can move, I can stretch, I can pick up things and not feel like I'm freaking 80 years old. Um, it was so strange to me to not feel pain in my back. So I myself have gone through this. I myself have proven to myself that I can heal myself, and I am not born under a lucky star. I'm not some special human with some special powers. You have the same abilities, the same capabilities of healing yourself as I do and as I did. But of course, like I always say, it is your choice. It is not mine. It is something you have to want. It is something you have to desire, and it's something you have to choose. So if there's something that I would say today is to choose yourself.